नमस्ते दोस्तों, आपका स्वागत है मेरे चैनल पर। इसे सब्सक्राइब करें और घंटी आइकन दबाएं।
Look at the plastic shell of the phone in your hand, or the gas in your car. Before they were polished consumer products, they started as something entirely different, trapped under thousands of feet of deep ocean water. Getting to that raw material requires building an offshore oil platform. Engineers drop a massive $5 to $10 billion steel megastructure right into the middle of the ocean. Out here, the crew is fighting the environment itself. These rigs are designed to stand perfectly still against Category 5 hurricanes, absorbing the impact of 30-meter waves without flinching. And the oil isn't sitting in a convenient underwater pool. It is locked tight inside subterranean rock formations. Extracting it means puncturing those rocks, which releases highly pressurized, explosive fluids right beneath the feet of the rig workers. The daily operation of the global economy relies entirely on engineers maintaining control over the most volatile physical forces on the planet, day after day. The extraction process begins with a massive rotary drill. It cuts straight down through the ocean depth and then bores through 1,000 to 5,000 meters of solid seabed rock. To keep the drill bit from melting under extreme friction, the crew pumps down a highly engineered chemical mixture called drilling mud. It cools the rock and provides crucial downward weight against the subterranean forces pushing up. Pushing back is critical. When the drill finally strikes the oil reservoir, the natural pressure is so intense that it forces the liquid violently up the pipe. If that pressure escapes to the surface unchecked, you get a lethal blowout. This diagram illustrates the ultimate failsafe against that exact scenario, the blowout preventer, or BOP. If the rising liquid breaches safe pressure limits, these massive horizontal valves slam across the well opening and clamp shut, completely sealing off the flow. We know exactly what happens when those valves fail. In 2010, the BOP on the Deepwater Horizon rig malfunctioned, resulting in a sudden surge of gas and oil that tore the platform apart. Offshore drilling is a continuous high-wire balancing act against geological pressure that actively wants to rip the rig to pieces. If the engineers manage that pressure successfully, the fluid that rockets to the surface is still far from the crude oil we need. It arrives as a chaotic, toxic mixture of oil, salt water, heavy sand, and flammable natural gas. A three-phase separator uses gravity to settle the chaotic fluid into 3 layers. Heavy water sinks and is siphoned off. The middle layer of crude oil funnels into storage tanks. Natural gas at the top is quickly piped away or burned off. Out on the water, that pressure release burn looks exactly like this, a tall tower projecting a bright, continuous gas flare away from the main deck. The offshore platform operates as a massive floating chemical processing factory, working around the clock to isolate a single usable resource. That isolated crude oil is moved to a waiting vessel called the FPSO. It acts as a massive floating warehouse. The crew continuously heats its internal storage tanks. If raw crude oil cools down in the ocean air, it turns into a heavy, unpumpable sludge. Inside those heated tanks, sensors run continuous custody transfer metering. They track exact temperatures, they track precise pressures, and volumes to the drop. At this scale, miscalculating a fraction of the cargo means millions of dollars in financial losses. Eventually, the buyer arrives. A colossal delivery ship called a very large crude carrier inches toward the platform. Securing this massive tanker takes hours, using heavy steel ropes to freeze the ship perfectly in place against the ocean currents. With the ships locked together, the crew connects a flexible cargo hose between them. 5,000 horsepower pumps spin up, blasting 80 million liters of highly flammable liquid over the open ocean across 48 hours. They are moving staggering amounts of explosive weight over volatile, moving waters. One spark or one slipped mooring line guarantees disaster. Once the tanks are full and the billion-dollar transaction is signed, the steel lines are detached. The heavy tanker sails towards its final destination, massive onshore refineries where those raw hydrocarbons are finally broken down into plastics, fuels, and medicines. But long before the oil ever reaches the shore, it passes through the hands of thousands of isolated workers, living out on those steel islands, operating heavy machinery over deep water. Every piece of plastic we throw away, And every tank of gas we burn originates from their relentless, round-the-clock labor at the edge of the physical world.
Like, comment and subscribe my channel.